Hey, what's going on, guys? Gonna let some people join in here before we get going. How's everybody doing? We're going to be talking some Detroit Lions as the team nears the midway point. Feel free to drop a question in the comments section. I'll try and answer your questions. Gonna give it a second for people to join in. I'm Ben Raven on MLive's Detroit Lions beat. Hope you guys can hear me all right. The team's 2-3-1 heading into the Week 8 matchup with the New York Giants. Obviously, it's been a busy week, so I'm sure you guys got a couple of questions. Today, just for those unaware, the team signed safety Marcus Gilchrist a couple days after trading Quandre Diggs for a fifth-rounder to Seattle. Hey, how's everybody doing? Just getting into things here. We're talking Lions. Just going to let some people get in here, drop a question with what's on your mind. Obviously, it's been a busy week with starting running back Kerryon Johnson landing on injured reserve, Quandre Diggs going to Seattle for a fifth-rounder. The team did sign a safety to the main roster today. And that's Marcus Gilchrist, good run stopper. He was a good playmaker in the secondary a couple years ago. Had a down year for Oakland last week. The Green Bay game and the refs, we're here. We're talking about it. Listen, the NFL admitted a mistake on that final Trey Flowers penalty, and obviously, it was a rough call. I thought the first one was a little more justified because you got to give props to the offensive lineman. You got to look at it, kind of put yourself in my shoes how I'm looking at it. The offensive lineman for Green Bay, he sold hands to the face. It might not have been hands to the face, but he sold it, and the refs reacted to that. The last one was extremely questionable. Obviously, there was a defensive PI there, but, as I said in my final score predictions video after that week, the Lions kicked 2 field goals inside the 10-yard line. They settled for 5 field goals altogether. That's what I think of that game. They had a couple chances to put that game away. They did not. It kind of came down to the wire, and one bad, questionable call might have helped sway the outcome, but the Lions had a couple chances to put that thing away before we got there. Obviously, with that game, the Lions are currently on a 3-game losing streak right now. 2-3-1, last place in the NFC North, and a couple playoff models projecting their chances at showing the playoffs. They're already 4 games back in the NFC North, so it's going to be wild card or bust for the Lions. New York Times had them at 9% chance to get in the playoffs. I believe the Lions are only ahead of the Bucs, the Giants, the Falcons. It's just been a rough couple of weeks for the Lions here, and obviously this week has been a little more rough. Trading a team captain and a safety and then losing a starting running back who you've been given a near bell cow workload to injured reserve. Johnson's out at least 8 weeks, and I think that puts him at week 15 in the Tampa Bay game. So see what happens there. The Lions currently in the backfield have rookie Ty Johnson, who is an absolute just game breaker with crazy speed, measured at 4.28, hand-timed in a 40-yard dash. That probably makes him Detroit's quickest player. Look for Ty Johnson to get a ton of carries moving forward if the team doesn't make a move. Now, with that said, they also have J.D. McKissick, who's familiar with the offense, spending time with Coach Pavel and over in Seattle. Then there's Paul Perkins and Trout Carson from Green Bay, who they claimed on waivers a couple weeks ago. Actually, right after the Green Bay game, oddly enough, they claimed Carson from Green Bay. So keep dropping questions in there. I'll keep on rolling. I'll talk about the safety thing, too, because I'm sure that's on a lot of people's minds. It's wondering what's going on there. Trading a team captain, Quandre Diggs, who just signed an extension, voted team captain by players. I know that's got fans going wild on social media the last couple of days, but they really like what they have in rookie Will Harris. And trading Quandre, it frees up some cap space for next season, and it clears a path for their third-round rookie to get more playing time. They trust him, they like him, and Will Harris performed very well against the Chiefs and the Packers. Patrick Mahomes did not throw a touchdown against the Lions. That was the first time he hadn't done that in 12 weeks. Will Harris was at safety in that game. The Lions held Green Bay to 23 points in a last-second field goal to win against Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau Field. Will Harris played the majority of that game, too. They like what they've seen out of the rookie. He's a third-round pick. You're getting a fifth-round pick while making a path for your third round to see consistent playing time. And then you got a guy like Tavon Wilson back there, too, who knows the offense. He's a veteran in this league, and it's a calm, cool presence. And talking to guys in the locker room yesterday, that was one of the guys they looked to. We still got a veteran in the safety group. We still got a veteran in the defensive back group. That's what they were saying to me. And we'll see, obviously if you guys are on Twitter, you saw the player reactions. They weren't exactly thrilled about Quandre getting traded or anything like that, but they're looking at it as business and they're moving forward. But right now, the team making a trade, that's a good question. You know, they added a little capital in that Diggs trade to get a 5th-round pick. They were a little short on picks like that, so see what happens on that. I think the market right now for running backs, the price is probably a little high. The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday at 4 o'clock, next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, so keep an eye out. I believe the Lions still have an open roster spot. Oh, no, let me correct myself. They promoted Paul Perkins to the main roster yesterday. He's a running back who hasn't played a ton and has dealt with some major injuries since 2016 when he had a very impressive rookie year for the Giants, but, you know, haven't seen a lot of him on the field in the last couple of years. A couple names out there available for trade, reportedly. Kenyon Drake in Miami. I know a lot of people are kind of down on him this year, but I think if you put any running back behind that Miami offensive line, they'd be having a bad time. They'd see their numbers down too. So that's a name. The Lions were linked to Kenyon Drake last week, seeing what the price were. That's the name I'd keep my eyes the closest on is Kenyon Drake in Miami. Look him up. Do your research. He's a potential game breaker. And, hey, Miami was talking with him about extending him heading into the season. So they obviously saw some lead back potential there. And obviously the sexy name out there is Melvin Gordon. But, listen, I think that's going to be a way too high a price than the Lions are willing to pay. That's just my take on that. I think the Chargers are going to want to get a lot back for a guy like Melvin Gordon. So, but, I mean, there is a potential for a trade just because, I mean, with Kerryon gone, Ty Johnson is now the longest tenured healthy running back in Detroit. He was their 6th-round draft pick in the most recent draft. So I think they're going to give him a shot this weekend against the Giants. Going to see what he can do. He got 10 carries after Kerryon went down last week, so there is some potential there. He's shown some promise in the passing game. He's got some great speed. He's got a guy like J.D. McKissic behind him who's been getting jet sweeps and another impact in the passing game. And then you got fullback Nick Bowden, who's been getting a lot more looks than people realize, while Carson and Perkins are mysteries. Carson's got 6 career carries. Paul Perkins hasn't received a carry since 2017, hasn't ever played a full season. So there's a lot of mystery in that backfield. So there's potential for a trade, but they're not going to salvage their future. They're not going to salvage this draft capital in the future for a running back if the price is too high, because they do like Ty Johnson. They do like J.D. McKissic. Any other questions here? Just play as a team? Yeah, this weekend's game is a good time to get it together. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on the Giants or anything at all here, but Daniel Jones has really struggled to hang on to the ball, and we'll kind of shift into this. This is going to replace the final score predictions video for the week, but keep an eye out for our final score predictions Friday night for the game against the Giants. The Lions are considered about 7-point favorites right now. I personally feel pretty confident about the Lions going into this game, and I know it's kind of wild to see losing a captain, losing your starting running back. He's been given the ball 20, 25 times a game, but this Giants team, Daniel Jones has thrown 7 interceptions in the last 5 games. He fumbled 3 times last week against the Cardinals, who the Lions tied in week 1, 27-27, for whatever that's worth in your head. I know there's a lot of transitive property people out there, but hey, the Giants, I mean, they get Golden Tate back. It'll be interesting to see Golden Tate back at Ford Field, but like I said, Daniel Jones is struggling to hang on to the ball. Saquon Barkley, he returned last week against the Cardinals, 18 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Watched a ton of that. Watched a ton of Saquon highlights, and let me just say, that does not look like a guy that had a severe ankle sprain just 4 weeks ago. I mean, unbelievable. The cuts he makes, what's Brandon Champion says. How bad do I want those red pop wings? What's up, trending team? I want those. They're on my radar. I've already been talking to a couple people about getting those. Look out for that at MLive.com. Some red pop smoked wings. What about the offensive line? Great. Thank you for bringing that up. Great question on that. I think a lot of people have noticed the guard rotation between Graham Glasgow, Joe Dahl, and Kenny Wiggins. Wiggins has been getting about 4 to 5 series a game, replacing Graham Glasgow, and Graham Glasgow continues to be one of the best run-blocking guards in the league. Taylor Decker has really picked it up since his struggles in Week 1 and missing the Week 2 game. And Rick Wagner's been a little down this year, but I mean, as a whole, the unit isn't giving up a ton of sacks. I mean, they haven't exactly been plowing the way for the run game, but Kerryon was having some problems, hit some gaps. He was running into the backs of his own guys. There seemed to be a little disconnect there, but Ragnow in the middle with Glasgow, when they're on the field, that's a great run blocking group. Great run blocking group. I think that's still a very untapped group here, and I'm really curious to see how they keep going with this rotation at guard. They seem committed to it. Heading into the bye week, offensive line coach Jeff Davidson seemed like I mean, he was preaching that this is helping them stay in games, win games. He trusts Kenny Wiggins. He was linked to him in San Diego. Yes, San Diego. They played when it was San Diego. Wiggins and Davidson, and there's a lot of trust there. So keep up with that rotation. But Graham Glasgow has been great run blocking, not bad in pass blocking, and Joe Dahl slipped a couple games the last couple of weeks here. But hey, the Lions have lost 3 games in a row, so changing up a little bit here. Yeah, I'm really curious to see. I'm not sure what this weekend's game is going to do, if anything, on the trade deadline. Like I said, Tuesday, 4 o'clock is the trade deadline. The biggest position to watch out for, in my mind, in my opinion, is the running back group. I think they're going to roll with Ty Johnson and J.D. McKissic against the Giants. See what they have there. See what the offense looks like. Because we're going to end on the most important note of the season. Matthew Stafford has been slinging the ball around once again this season. Longest attempt, I mean, he's throwing the deep ball like crazy. The receivers, I mean, you saw Marvin Jones last week. 4 touchdown catches, 10 catch. What a red zone target he is. TJ Hawkinson has slipped since that historic Week 1 debut. Interested to see how he bounces back in the second half of this season. Kenny Galladay has had a couple of big games. Still isn't getting much separation from corners, but he's making plays when the ball's thrown his way. I think you're going to see Stafford slinging that ball around a little bit more. Just because Ty Johnson and McKissic are receiving options out of the backfield, I just can't envision Ty Johnson getting 15 carries. I can't envision J.D. McKissic getting 10 to 15 carries. I think they're really going to split the duties. Ty Johnson had 49 snaps last week, which was a season high for him, career high for him. I think you'll see that kind of snap count like that. Ty at about 45, JD at about 15 to 20. Both are versatile options, but let's just be real here. Those are not pound the ground. Those are not pound the beef type running backs. So keep an eye out for Kenyon Drake. If the Chargers drop that price in Melvin Gordon, absolutely. Oh, thank you. Marvin Hall. Oh, Lauren. Is that Lauren dropping a Marvin Hall question? Marvin Hall. Him and J.D. McKissic, these two guys deserve a lot more praise because they are making the absolute most of their limited snaps and limited targets. Marvin Hall's got a 40-plus yard catch in 3 straight games. He doesn't get many targets, but when he does, he's breaking a big play. He's been a fantastic addition for a team that promoted him to the main roster, in my mind, to be a kind of return specialist backup when Agnew was going through his ball security concerns. So he stepped up in a major way. Stafford is clearly trusting him, throwing him the ball deep late in the game. So watch out for that. Watch out for that. Marvin Hall's been fantastic. I think they're going to start utilizing those guys with some speed a little bit more with Kerryon gone. I think this offense is going to change a little bit because they're losing their lead back. I mean, Kerryon's been down. The running game hasn't been what all of us thought it was going to be. But Matthew Stafford is having I don't want to say career year, but he's throwing the ball around. He's throwing it deep, and he's got some versatile weapons in the backfield at receiver. A young tight end who I expect to bounce back. He's had some red zone struggles. He's dropped a couple passes. He's made some rookie mistakes. But, hey, we weren't lying when we said tight end is the hardest position, one of the hardest positions to adjust to at the NFL level. So keep an eye out for him. TJ's going to bounce back. TJ's going to bounce back. Jesse James is a fantastic starting tight end for most teams in the NFL. So they are deep at tight end. And Logan Thomas, former Virginia Tech quarterback, I mean, he doesn't get many targets either, but when he does, that's a big, big red zone target there. I like the tight ends here in Detroit. I like the receivers here in Detroit. Marvin Hall, I mean, that's a speedy option to go with Galladay and Marvin Jones, somebody to get a little separation. We'll finish on the defense, actually. The defense has been down, and they're preparing for a matchup with Saquon Barkley. I mean, the defense has given up the 5th most run yards in the league. Saquon Barkley is... This guy's for real, guys. And he's coming off that ankle injury, and he still scored and had 72 yards on a rain-soaked field with severe ankle injury. I mean, that's just... This guy's making wild cuts. He's a threat out of the backfield anyway. The Giants, if they give Saquon the ball, this could end up being a much closer game than myself and probably everybody else is expecting, just because rookie quarterback, some major struggles on the defensive side of the ball. But hey, if that's going to be it here, we'll wrap this up. Look for final score predictions Friday night. Just kind of wanted to touch on some things. Gilchrist was signed, add some more safety depth to the main roster. Paul Perkins was thrown into the main roster to give them some more depth in the backfield there. So see what happens. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a differently kind of looked offense here come Sunday against the Giants. I think you're going to see Stafford throwing that ball a little bit more. You're going to see him not running up the middle so much because they did lose that bell cow. So Kerryon Johnson could be back Week 15 against the Bucs. They added a 5th-round pick for Quandre Diggs in a trade with Seattle. It's been a busy week here. Sunday, 1 p.m. at Ford Field. Catch that game on Fox against the New York Giants. 2 teams on 3-game losing streaks. And one more nugget for the defense. They've allowed 430-plus yards of offense for 3 straight weeks for the first time since the 0-16 2008 season. There you go. Stay up to date with everything. We're out here, Allen Park, obviously, MLive.com/Lions. Thanks for watching. Anything else, shoot me an email. Find me on Twitter, Benjamin S. Raven. Happy to answer your questions if you weren't in here on live.